What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Farinho Talks Milan. Unfortunately, the last 2 weeks have been extremely busy for me, but I'm happy to be back, and let's get straight into it. It's about time Milan gave us a performance that we can be proud of. And without further ado, here are 6 things we learned from Milan's 3-1 win at Parma. Number 1, PIOLI gets his team selection right. I think by far the most frustrating thing in this year, I would say for me personally, is Pioli's team selection. He's got it wrong on a few occasions. I think just last week against Sampdoria is a perfect example of that. Him moving Salamakis to right back, Krunic coming in at left wing. You know, Krunic has played in that position before and he hasn't done well. He's played extremely well as an attacking midfielder. And Salamakis, of course, is a lot better than Castillejo, and he decided to move him to right back. Now, I don't know why he approached the game differently this time. I think maybe he's also thinking, okay, in the run-in to the end of the season, he wants to put out his strongest formation possible, his strongest starting lineup possible, and that's what he did. Of course, the team played better without Samu Castillejo, and a lot of them can be proud of the way they performed and brought the result home, which leads me to point number 2. Milan played well as a unit. Now, something else that I've picked up since the turn of the year, since I started this channel, Milan, when they have played well, it's very rare that they play well together as a unit. You know, we've seen games where overall the team are good, but Hakan will be poor or Benacer will be poor. For different reasons. I mean, you know, it happens. But I think the last time Milan played well as a unit was the game against Roma. Only this time I think it was a lot better. You know, in Roma, Milan missed a ton of chances. Here, they looked well worth the money up until the Ibrahimovic red card, which I will touch on later. But they played well, they looked dynamic. It wasn't a flawless performance, but it was a much needed performance in terms of confidence. You could see Hakan looked confident. Salamakis played a good few 1-2s down the wing. Ante Rebic was linking well with Ibrahimovic. And Kessie and Benacer, you know, we've missed that for so long, and it was good to see them get back into the groove of things. Benacer in particular was really impressive, and I'm excited for the next game. I think this version of Milan can bring Champions League qualification, and there's no excuses. If they play the way they played against Parma, and they apply that to the forthcoming games, there's no excuses. Number 3, THEO HERNANDEZ needs to make better decisions. If you watched the game against Sampdoria last week, I think it was THEO HERNANDEZ's worst performance by far, right? And the thing is, he's not a bad player. When he's good, he's great. He's shown that he has fantastic speed. He is a fantastic ball carrier. You know, when he gets onto his bike, there's no stopping him. But there's also flaws to his game. And one of the biggest things for me personally is him not lifting his head up. When you are such a good player and you can exploit space in behind the opposition, when you can run through midfield like that, you need to be aware of the players around you. You need to be able to move the ball quickly to one of the midfielders to play off the striker. You know, if you give the ball off early to one of your players and run into the space vacated by the defender you drew in, it can result in a potential chance at goal. Now, Hernandez does everything right apart from making the right decisions. And today we saw what making the right decision could look like. He played a fantastic 1-2 with Ibrahimovic, got the ball back, immediately played it into Kessie's feet, and Kessie turned and scored from just inside the area. If he can play like that more often, he can be a real asset. And it's frustrating when he doesn't apply that because he has the talent. And that's never in question. It's just about doing the basics correctly. His drop of form I think has really hampered Milan, because he's always been someone to move the team forward, to drive at the defense when things aren't going Milan's way, and that's an asset. He needs to know how to use it. Number 4, the Ibrahimovic red card incident. Now making this video, I'd say a good 24 hours after the game. And at first you look at it, it's Ibrahimovic, once again, your most senior player in the squad by a country mile, once again getting involved. You know, the same way in the derby where he got the yellow card and then got sent off in the second half. He should be a leader. You know, this is just a side note, but he should be a leader. He should know better than to address the referees. He should know better than to get stuck in. So I think it's fair to say that it is the Zlatan package. He is brilliant but frustrating, and you expect more from him. Now, as the time has rolled by and you follow the news reports, you've seen what Maresca has misinterpreted as Zlatan insulting him, and Zlatan saying no, you know, that wasn't the case. And it just seems, it seems a little shady. To be honest, I don't think there's this massive conspiracy against Milan. You know, referees get it wrong. But going back to the actual incident, right, let's break it down. Dissent is a yellow card offense. So even if Ibrahimovic decided to insult him, it is a yellow card offense. At the base of it, that is the appropriate punishment. You cannot give a straight red card. I think that is a gross misuse of power, and I do think it needs to be investigated. You know, we've seen incidents of blasphemy being punished after the game. Fine, if that's fine, go ahead. As long as you're applying it consistently, I still think it's a stupid rule. But again, that's not the topic of conversation here. But be consistent. So if you're going to have other players mouthing off at the referee, them not getting a card, and then Ibrahimovic saying something like, you know, it seems strange to me, or whatever the case was, and you decide to give him a red card. Seriously, that can really hamper, and that did hamper Milan's chances of winning the game. Fortunately for them, they turned it around. But yeah, I just think that Maresca really abused his power, and I want them to investigate it. I think Milan will definitely appeal it. I'm not too familiar with what the rules are afterwards. I've seen someone on Twitter, I think it was Stefchenko, saying something like, even after the ban is appealed, he will still have to serve a minimum 1-game ban, which is a ridiculous rule. Sorry. So yeah, it broke Milan's game. It broke Milan's momentum. They were 2-0 up. They were on top of Parma. I think Donnarumma didn't have to do anything up until that stage. And yeah, again, it's one of Milan's most important players who is now potentially missing the Genoa game. Number 5, the substitutes do their job. I think oftentimes we sit on Twitter and you wonder, oh, okay, what is PIOLI doing when, you know, he doesn't want to bring Hauge on, and then he brings Krunic on, and admittedly that fear crept in, you know, knowing Milan going a man down, they're going to have to absorb a lot of pressure. How will PIOLI react to it? He hasn't shown us a lot of how he can adapt to a game when things aren't going Milan's way, but credit where it's due. I think his subs were spot on. He needed to bring in Meite to shore up the midfield. Obviously, Benacer is just returning. And of course, putting on Dalot, that's some more legs running from the back, someone who can carry the ball quickly. I know he's not been the best for us, but he did contribute to a goal in the last minute. Fantastic work, pinching the ball from the defender. Sampdoria players are right in Milan's half. He ran right into their half, passed the ball to Leao, excellent finish from Leao. So on a whole, I think that the substitutes did what they were tasked to do, but credit to PIOLI as well for adapting the formation and not trying to play the same game where Milan could have potentially drawn the game. They could have potentially lost the game. Number 6, Donnarumma's incredible double save. We can argue all we like about whether he's worth 8, 10, 12 million We can argue about the contract situation. We can argue about whether his agent is a massive asshole. I think a lot of us agree that he is. But what you can't do is take away from his brilliance. He has consistently been Milan's best performer, I think, next to Kessie this season. Over the last few years, he's been an important pillar in this Milan team, in a very young Milan team. To think, and I know it's cliche, it's becoming one of those Chuck Norris, Zlatan jokes, but he's just turned 22. It feels like he's been around forever. And to have such a leader in that squad, someone who will constantly put their money where their mouth is, and lead by example. When the difficult moments come, he rises to the occasion, and more often than not, he comes out on top. Now, that's something I think Milan fans take for granted, and the double save, I think, illustrates just that. So the header was fairly, if you haven't seen the replay, go ahead and watch that. The header was a fairly standard save, but the recovery that fell to the attacker's foot, that was amazing. And Donnarumma is amazing at that. He's grown so much. He's matured so much as a player. And he hasn't even started. He hasn't even entered his prime. So a player who can deliver these performances this consistently as a 19, 20, 21-year-old, it's scary for the potential he may have in years to come. So those are the 6 things that I learned from this Milan game versus Parma. If you picked up anything else, let me know in the comments. Tweet me. Let's have a discussion. I will not be doing the player ratings individually. I think it might be a little too tedious. So I want to keep the videos more short, concise, to the point. As always, I really appreciate the support. I invest a lot into my content creation, not just the videos, my artwork as well. And your support is truly humbling. I don't think I can stress it enough. It's just been a fantastic year so far. And I hope to continue with this, and I hope to continue with all of you. So again, thank you. If you like this content, and I will hopefully be making more random content. I think I mentioned that in a few videos and nothing has materialized so far. But yeah, I will be trying to actively create more content on this channel. If you like that, please share my videos, subscribe to my channel, help me grow. I'm forever grateful. And lastly, Forza Milan.